So you want some sales leads. Easily one of the hardest things for us salespeople to do is find active sales leads to prospect and go after. So where exactly are the best places to find sales leads from? And what are some sneaky Cobra Kai style ninja tips that you can find some sales leads from? Keep watching to find out more. What's going on, guys? It's Fairhead from Sales Unveiled once again, helping slash through all the misconceptions, karate chopping them. I don't know, I'm wearing this top, so it makes me want to do a little bit more martial arts than normal. All the misconceptions around sales, business, and of course personal development, and giving you, yes, you watching this, all the practical advice that you need in your day-to-day careers. Sales leads, literally the lifeblood of us guys working in sales. Think of them as like the ring to Gollum, or being angry is to the Incredible Hulk. Weird analogy, I know. Now, on the back of a fantastic comment I received on LinkedIn, shout out, you know who you are, who left that. Sales leads is definitely a daunting thing to kind of find for new people to the sales industry. In the video today, we're gonna cover not one, not two, I'll just skip to it. We're gonna cover my top 5 tips for finding sales leads. Now, you're also gonna wanna stick around to the end of the video where I'll have a bonus which shows my top tip and my method that I love using the most for finding sales leads. Point 1, understand who your ICP is. Now, whilst we all might be very, very eager to get the new leads right away, before we do any of that, before we find new contacts, it's important that we understand who the best possible contacts are for us to go after. I mean, let's use you watching this as an example. You wouldn't just show up to a car showroom and just randomly buy a car. You know, hopefully you would have done your research beforehand. If you haven't, how did you make it to adulthood? An ICP then stands for an ideal client profile, and it's just a fancy way of saying who is more likely to buy your product or service. What are their ages? What are their hobbies? What are the positions in the companies that they work for? Doing this will make the entire process of searching for new leads a hell of a lot easier. Now, for any of you joining organizations, this should be incredibly easy. All you really need to do is ask your sales manager who your ICP actually is. If they're not aware of that, or if they're unfamiliar with what an ICP is, perfectly understandable. Just ask them who the contacts were that won the last 10 deals, so who the prospects were that actually closed those deals, and an ICP should hopefully start to appear. Speaking of ICP, guys, you know how I can tell you guys are my ICP? Because you're absolutely gonna smash that subscribe button, leave a huge thumbs up on the back of this video. Point 2, use LinkedIn. The power of social media. Not that bad when people aren't using it to scream at each other over the most trivial of things. I mean, I think we can all agree the dress was blue and black, right? Outdated jokes aside, guys, using LinkedIn is one of the most important tools that we have at our disposal to find powerful sales leads. I will stop speaking like a robot. For example, let's say we're selling a social media management platform. So a platform that allows you to manage multiple different social media accounts. Think of the likes of Hootsuite for those of you who are in the digital marketing space. Now, your ICP then will likely be digital marketing managers, social media managers. So using LinkedIn, or better yet, get your managers to approve LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can then filter down thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially even millions of contacts to these particular roles and go after those that fits your ICP. Repeat this process over a couple of hours and you should find a list of a couple of hundred people that should give you enough contacts to go after for the next couple of weeks or so. Leave a comment down below though, guys, if you want me to give you a full tutorial on how to use LinkedIn in the most effective ways. Appreciate we don't have that much time today. Now, one of the most exciting things about using LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Navigator is it updates you on things like new roles, when these people have changes in their careers, all those kinds of things. And you can actively use these events to give you an entry point into reaching out to these prospects. We cover some of that kind of stuff actually in our outbound sales emails, which you can link to over here. Point 3, tried and tested industries. Now, this works particularly well if you're targeting public sector organizations, things like local councils, police forces, fire departments, universities, schools, all those different things that are run by government or subsidized by government funding. Now, whilst there's definitely something to crafting out a super bespoke email, a super tailored sales approach, spending a couple of hours on one particular sales email, Lord knows that's something that I've done. Every now and then, you just need a list of 200 and 300 businesses to hammer out, just to cold call and get the results that you kind of need. Sales, after all, is a numbers game, right? Too many numbers. Help. Finding tried and tested organizations that have their contact details, whether it's their phone numbers or emails, publicly available, is going to be incredibly important. And using these tried and tested industries like the public sector is going to work incredibly well for you to reach out to? What am I talking about? Now, to use this method, simply Google a list of the industry that you're trying to go after. For example, list of universities in England. Boom, there you go. Wikipedia entry. I am an actual genius. Nah. Again, the reason why we want to try these public facing sectors and these public information organizations is just because they have their information available publicly, which is what I just kind of said. But you get the gist, guys. They're easy to contact, easy to get through to, and hopefully you should have some quick wins from that as well. 4, use data providers. Now, whilst there's a lot more scrutiny and eyeballs on personal data due to GDPR regulations, data providers definitely have a place in gathering data for contacts. One of the ways then in which sales managers get information and get contacts for their sales team to go after is just by using massive data companies that have huge databases with hundreds of emails, job titles, contact numbers, all those kinds of things, and then giving them to their prospects, or better yet, putting them in a CRM platform like Salesforce, for example. Sometimes these data companies even have mobile numbers at work, which, you know, huge accomplishment. Seriously, data companies, sometimes you need to cut the BS and actually get some proper contact information. Now, while some of this information can be a little bit spotty, there are some companies out there that do an incredible job of actually having up-to-date databases. So my recommendations for any sales managers watching this would be to go after the likes of ZoomInfo or Cognism. In my experience, they're the two that have sort of the best amount of information there. Now, just be aware that by using these platforms, they're going to be tailored mainly to UK, US, English-speaking countries. So if you're living outside of that, or you're not in a native English-speaking country, this information may be a little bit spotty for yourselves there. Point 5. The yellow pages. I literally just lost about half of you saying that, didn't I? Now, whilst this method might seem a little bit outdated, if I was born in the 80s, I can imagine myself, first of all, with a mullet, and second of all, using this method to reach out to prospects. But if we really sit back and think about it, I mean, how many businesses still use things like Thomson Local, Yellow Pages, phone directories to list all their data and their information? It'd be quite a lot, right? Now, whilst these organizations might not be the huge, large multinationals that we all want to close deals with, like Sony or PlayStation, who, if you're watching this, please send me a PS5, they still are a fantastic option to target, especially if you're a smaller organization that doesn't have a huge list of clients at the moment and you're after your first 5 to 10 deals. Also, sneaky ninja Cobra Kai sales tip. If you think about it, whilst a lot of organizations are using the like of Cognism, ZoomInfo, all of these different organizations to actually get their information, their data from, a lot of these smaller organizations that might not be that tech savvy, they're not going to be on these systems. So potentially you're reaching out to organizations that may even have a little bit less competition there as well. So not just a pretty beard, not even really that. You can't spell bonus without leads, except you can. Guys, it's time to inject this sweet, sweet bonus into your eyeballs. So my top tip then, guys, for finding sales leads to go after. And it's a bit of a controversial one, but I think it's genuine. The sales industry is changing. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, you only had one particular sales role, which was account manager that would do everything in terms of cold calling and then closing deals. And now, you know, the sales industry has changed a little bit, whereby we have sales development reps and account executives splitting up that role. And I think the same thing should be happening for sales researchers as well. Hiring specific sales researchers that can research between 10 and 20 businesses every single week to really identify them, really match them up with your ideal client profile, and then hand them over to the sales development team is going to be the most important and vital part of being successful in sales, and in particular software sales going forward. Now, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about this and how to actually hire correct sales researchers or what to look out for in sales researchers, more than happy to do a future video on that. So just leave a comment down below as always and let me know your thoughts. As always, guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. Absolutely demolish that like button. Like, seriously, it massively helps out the channel. Hit subscribe to all of you. We're slowly growing there. Let's get on that road to 100 subscribers. We'll get there sooner or later. And until then, guys, check out the following videos, which I'll leave at the end on the card here. Here we go.